Pod, Chinese Pod. That's the way to learn Chinese. Chinese Pod, Chinese Pod.
Hello and welcome once again to Chinese Pod. We're coming to you from Shanghai, China. We're bringing you lessons in spoken Mandarin. My name is Ken Carroll, and as ever, I'm joined by my partner in crime, the wonderful
Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Now the seaport criminal.
Yeah. Well, we have to be quite honest about our criminal activities, which is, well, actually no, because today we're going to focus on the lesson. Now, what are we looking at today? We have a newbie lesson, I believe. Is that right?
That's correct, and it's a very functional lesson.
A functional lesson.
We're focusing on the sentence structure of how do I say blah blah blah.
Okay. So we're gonna show you how to ask that question.
Yes.
How do I say?
Because when you're learning language, you're curious. You want to know everything, right?
Indeed,
how to say everything in the language you're learning.
I think this is good to provide the listener with perhaps kind of basic like classroom language, or indeed if you're here in China and learning and you want to ask people on the street or anywhere some basic questions about how you say something. So it's very useful, I believe. Now, instead of us giving it all away at this stage, why don't we just listen to this very short dialogue 3 times and then we'll come back and we'll break it down.
Fruit 中文怎么说？
水果，蔬菜英文怎么说？
Vegetable. Second time. Fruit. 中文怎么说？
水果，蔬菜英文怎么说？
Vegetable. Third time. Fruit. 中文怎么说？
水果，蔬菜英文怎么说？
Vegetable.
All right, now I think the first thing we should do is to translate sentence by sentence.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chinese Pod Trivia. Our first question is, how long will it take you to become an intermediate Chinese speaker using the Chinese Pod app? Is it A, the rest of your life? B, you should already be an intermediate speaker? C, 3 months? Or D, Chinese Pod has an app?
You should already be in.
Ooh, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, 3 months. That's right. Head over to ChinesePod.com now to register for your access to over 4,000 lessons. Get the Chinese Pod app now on Google Play or the App Store.
Fruit. 中文怎么说？
How do you say fruit in Chinese?
Fruit. 中文怎么说？
How do you say the word fruit in Chinese?
Fruit. 中文怎么说？水果。蔬菜英文怎么说？
Fruit is called 水果. How do you say 蔬菜 in English?
水果。蔬菜英文怎么说？
Fruit is called 水果. How do I say 蔬菜 in English?
水果。蔬菜英文怎么说？ Vegetable.
Vegetable. I don't think we need to repeat that one. Okay, now let's look at this. Let's break it down. Now, the first sentence again, please.
Fruit. 中文怎么说？
Now, we have the word fruit, and we want to know how we say that in Chinese. Now, let's start from the back, the backward build-up here. The last word in the sentence is 说, and that means
To say.
to say or to speak. Now, and so the phrase
中文 怎么说
Okay, now 中文 means the Chinese language,
Yep.
right? And 怎么说 means how do you say, right? 说 means say. 怎么说 meaning how do you say?
Yes.
So the sentence essentially means how do you say this in Chinese?
And you don't need any pronouns.
You don't need pronouns, yes, yes.
Whereas, I've
English.
heard, one of the common mistakes Chinglish is how to say, because that's the Chinese structure.
That's right. So in Chinese, 怎么说, there's no pronoun. In English, we say, how do you say something? In Chinese, you don't have that. So let's practice. I mean, you could use it with any word if you wanted to know. So you're in China or you're in the classroom, and I'll say it to you in English, and you can say it in Chinese. So how do I say chair in Chinese?
Chair, 中文怎么说 Chair, 中文怎么说
Good. Now, I want to know how to say apple in Chinese.
Apple, 中文怎么说 Apple, 中文怎么说
Now, I want to say friend. How do I say friend in Chinese?
Friend, 中文怎么说 Friend, 中文怎么说
Great. Now, you've got your sentence there, right? You can, you've got the word in English, and then you want to ask a Chinese friend how to say it. Okay. Now, in this case, you ask the question, how do I say fruit? So how do we say fruit? I'll ask you, and you can just answer the question.
Sure.
So, Jenny, fruit, 中文怎么说?
水果 水果
Now, 水果 meaning fruit. Now, tell us about these two characters, if you would, please, Jenny. 水 and 果.
Okay, 水, the first word means water,
Great. Water.
as fruits are full of juice.
Indeed, water.
Very watery,
Yes.
juicy.
Yes.
And 果 means just fruit.
Fruits. Okay, right. And those are both third tones, right?
That's correct.
So could we hear that again 2 more times, please?
水果水果
Great. Now, the next part was...
蔬菜英文怎么说
Okay, now, a moment ago we had 中文, and now we have
英文
英文, and that means English. Now, you want to ask the question, how do you say... If you use Chinese, that is, you want to ask how something is said in English. So in this case, the word 蔬菜, meaning vegetables. So let's hear that sentence again. How do I say vegetables in English?
蔬菜英文怎么说蔬菜英文怎么说
Okay, now you notice here that just as in the first sentence, that you put the noun at the beginning of the sentence, right? Yes. In English, we'd say, how do I say such and such a thing? Yeah. In English. Now, in this case, you put the noun, the object in question at the beginning. And in this case, it's
蔬菜
Now, 蔬菜, as we've said, it means vegetable. And we want to say, how do you say that in English? So we say...
蔬菜英文怎么说蔬菜英文怎么说
So we have the same 怎么说, how do you say? We have 英文, meaning English, as opposed to 中文, which we had earlier, and 蔬菜, meaning vegetables. Okay, now, so that was a fairly simple lesson here today, but very, very useful. Now, I do think we could listen to that dialogue perhaps 3 more times.
Fruit 中文怎么说
水果蔬菜英文怎么说
Vegetable Second time Fruit 中文怎么说
水果蔬菜英文怎么说
Vegetable Third time Fruit 中文怎么说？
水果、蔬菜英文怎么说？
Vegetable.
Are you ready, Tom? What is going on here?
Well, I'm trying to practice these characters that you gave me.
Oh my God, all this on paper? Did you not download the Chinese Pod writing app?
Go to ChinesePod.com/app and check out the new Chinese Pod writing app. Practice writing Chinese characters wherever, whenever. The new writing app, only at ChinesePod.com. Save trees, get smart.
All right, so let's just run through that one more time. I want to ask you something. I'll say it in English and you can say it in Chinese. I want to ask the question, how do you say house in Chinese?
House. 中文怎么说？ House. 中文怎么说？
Now, if I wanted to say baby, how do I say that in English?
宝贝。英文怎么说？宝贝，英文怎么说？
So 宝贝 meaning baby, 英文什么说? How do you say that in English? Well, we've had two very basic questions here. We hope they were useful. You can practice those. They might come in handy for you at some point when you're actually engaged in conversation. Jenny, I do think it's that time. I think we've got to go. We'll be back again with another lesson tomorrow.
Yes.
But for now, it's time for us to say...
shall I end it?
You could.
With today's sentence structure.
Why not?
Goodbye. 中文怎么说？
Well, we can say...
再见。
As usual, Chinese Pod provides an extensive selection of learning materials for this lesson on its website, www.chinesepod.com. You can access this lesson directly with the lesson number 0196. So just go to www.chinesepod.com/0196 and you will find a transcript, vocabulary, and much more. The link again, www.chinesepod.com/0196.
Chinese Pod, Chinese Pod.